All right, welcome everybody to the live stream for this week, the weekly financial update. Got some big news. You're definitely going to want to listen to this one because it's not looking pretty out there. Really time to prepare. I know being in the world of finance, I saw this news. It's major news. You might have missed it, but it's huge news that's going to affect a lot of us coming up. Okay. Also, student loan news coming out with SoFi filing a lawsuit against the Biden administration. I'll talk about that too. Let's jump right into it. If you're listening on the podcast, as always, be sure to subscribe so that way you're notified when new episodes come out. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, like it. That helps us grow. It helps get the word out. It helps you because you get notified when new stuff comes out. So it's a win-win situation for everybody. Big news that came out in the financial world yesterday and actually still coming in this morning. SVB, which is Silicon Valley Bank, wrote down $1.8 billion in their assets in their portfolios. As of this morning, the FDIC came in and shut them down, and they're transferring assets to somebody else. Why is that a big deal for everybody else? Okay. First of all, those of you that don't know what Silicon Valley Bank does and is and what they're known for, they are known for being the bank for venture capitalists in Silicon Valley. Okay. So all these startup companies, most of them use Silicon Valley Bank, SVB. Okay. The reason why that's a big deal is because yesterday when I saw this news, I thought that they were writing down assets on some of the venture companies that they had backed and given debt to, meaning those venture companies are not doing good and they're going bankrupt, so they had to write off that debt. I was wrong. The part that they actually were writing off has to do with their mortgage-backed securities and their treasuries that they owned. That's massive news. Because the way I look at it, I get shades of 2008 all over again, because I can't remember which bank it was, but they wrote down a ton of assets before everybody else. And it was like, oh, what were they doing? And then all of a sudden, all these other banks started writing stuff off. It's like, oh, crap. Okay. So those of you that don't know, that's why the stock market was down so much yesterday and today, is because it's getting that shades of 2008. Now, it's not going to be like a real estate debacle, but these things are snowballing. Okay. So you guys have heard me say this for like 6 months now. Stuff's not looking good. Like the treasury yield curve is inverted. That signals a recession. That's not good. Auto loan default rates are going up. Credit card default rates are going up. Now to the end of this year, the stock market's going to be all up and down all over the place. That's why I say all the time about dollar cost averaging, like going in with your retirement, keep doing that type of stuff. If you want to be more of an investor standpoint, do you hold money off, all this type of stuff? You need to start thinking about this. But bigger thing, got to have a solid plan going through this. I said this back, I think in like September of last year. Start saving money, reduce what you're spending like money on, because it's, what you can. I know with inflation, it's hard because everything costs so much now. But like I was just in Chicago the last 2 days and I'm just observing people and they're just swiping cards and buying them. It's like, now I don't know anything about them. I don't know if they can afford it or not, but it's just like, you're looking at this stuff and it's like, guys, you got to stop buying stuff right now. Like, you don't understand what's happening over the next, 9 months. Like, it doesn't look pretty. Like, slow down, right? So one of the big things I want you to take away from this weekly update is really put together a conscious plan to save money right now, because it's not looking pretty, just with the numbers that are coming in. And then with SVB going out of basically going bankrupt yesterday, it's like, oh shit, like this is just how things start snowballing. Okay. How does it apply to like mortgages? We've seen mortgage rates go up recently because the Fed came out and said inflation is not going down. But this also goes by, if you guys remember our last real estate update at the end of last year, we said that there's going to be a recession. And oftentimes when there's a recession, what does the Fed do? They drop interest rates, right? So it might have interest rates dropping by the end of this year. It might be a good time to buy a house because housing prices will drop and interest rates are going to drop. So it might be a good time to buy a home in the next coming, 6 to 12 months. All I'm saying right now is this is a time when you definitely need to have a financial plan and say, what do I need to do to be able to execute through this? What do I need to do? Maybe I got a 3-month or a 6-month emergency fund. Let's just say 6 months. Maybe I up that up to 9 months just in case, have a little bit extra cash in case, start spending a little bit. So that was the big thing I want to give you guys an update on today about just overall bigger picture financial plan. As always, you guys know this that watch this. We have our financial planning technology. If you guys need help, it's $18.99 a month. We have a special right now because of what's going on with student loans and everything. Sign up, take advantage of that. We can help you set up all your plan and everything if you need help doing that. Okay. But it's not going to be pretty. So this is not good news just for different industries as a whole. This is, again, I was in all this stuff in 2000 and 2007, 2008. And it just, this is the start of that snowball potentially. So be careful out there. Okay. I did do like a quick live chat the other day about the SoFi stuff. I'm going to do it again in case you guys missed it, because this has to do with student loan repayment. General timeline that we're going on right now is that student loans will restart in sometime between June of this year and September of this year. We don't know when yet. Okay. And I said, I think that no matter what, they're going to start this year. It's the most confident I've felt in that, in the since President Biden became president. But on the live chat, I mentioned, there's still a part of me, about 50% of me, that says, like, my original thesis was as long as Biden is in office, they weren't going to restart payments. Still a lot of me believes that. And sure enough, I started seeing news today, like, if student loans don't kick back, or if the student loan forgiveness doesn't get passed by the Supreme Court, Biden can put it on forever, like payment pause. And it's like, and so that is why you guys were asking me earlier this week, why did SoFi file this lawsuit? That's why, is because they see this and they know that that's going to happen, and they are putting things in place to prevent that from happening. Basically, the government overreach, essentially, which I also believe House of Representatives are going to do that too. Now, the bigger news to you though on this too, because I started seeing stuff in the news also, that if this stuff happens, where the Supreme Court strikes down the loan forgiveness stuff, that Congress might actually go after President Biden to stop him with this new repay program and everything else, saying it's all a federal overreach. And the reason why, like, one of the guys that I follow quite a bit on the legal side of things, his reasoning is like, this student loan forgiveness, the $10,000 that's going through the government or through the Supreme Court right now, the new repay program actually is billions and billions and billions of dollars more than what that would cost. And it's like, so if the Supreme Court comes back and says that Biden overstepped his bounds because this is a material impact, or I forgot what they actually call it, that opens up the gateway to say, well, his changing all these student loan plans like this is also against it. So anyways, will they restart in 2023? Like, we're still under the assumption of it's going to be between June and September. However, it still could get pushed back. We'll see. Right, just stay tuned. Again, if you guys don't have aren't a part of our monthly newsletter, of course, when you sign up, you can do that. If you go to at FitBUX official on Facebook and join our group, we'll ask you on our newsletter, and we update all this stuff in the newsletter either once a month or whenever we get big news, we put it out in the newsletter also. So if you want to get up-to-date information on that, do that. Again, subscribe to the channel if you're on YouTube, because I try to jump on and do live chats too when there's big news like what's been coming out over the last week. But that's what I wanted to jump on today on this live chat, to talk about basically the big news from a financials planning standpoint. You guys got to prepare. At the end of the day, this stuff is not looking good. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a good weekend. If you have a plan, it's going to be a great weekend. If you don't, I would start being scared, because there's some stuff that's going to be coming down the pike here in the next few months that doesn't look pretty. So start planning. We'll talk to you guys soon. Actually, we'll be jumping on another live chat next week. Talk to you guys later.